Some think it was built by the Illuminati. Some think there's a swastika hidden in the runways. Some think the murals are predicting the end of the world.
If you count the number of figures in this picture, there are 10 of them. And as you know, there are 10 kings from which the Antichrist arises. And he kills 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. My close-up of this first building especially looks like the World Trade Center. And remember, this painting was completed in 1994, before the airport opened in 1995. In other words, at least 7 years before the World Trade Center bombing.
This is Denver International Airport, and by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why so many people believe something is wrong with it. Denver already had an airport. Stapleton International had served the city since 1929, 6 decades. But by the 1980s, it simply couldn't keep up anymore. Its runways were built too close together, which meant that during bad weather, which happens around 150 days a year in Denver, the number of planes able to land per hour dropped from 80 down to just 36. Anytime a storm rolled through Colorado, delays at Stapleton would ripple out across the entire national air travel system. Since the airport functioned as a major connecting hub between the coasts, airlines wanted to expand into Denver, and Stapleton had no room to grow. Southwest Airlines was reportedly turned away entirely, unable to secure the gate space it needed. Nearby residents in the Park Hill neighborhood were suing over aircraft noise, adding legal pressure on top of the operational problems. City planners decided the only real fix was to start from scratch, somewhere far enough from the city that it could grow for decades without running into the same problems. They picked a site roughly 25 miles northeast of downtown Denver, nearly twice as far out as Stapleton had been, a decision that itself became one of the earliest sources of public suspicion, since some residents genuinely couldn't understand why a replacement airport needed to be built so far from everything it was meant to serve. Construction began in 1989, and almost immediately things started going wrong. The airport was originally supposed to open in October 1993. It didn't open until February of 1995, 16 months late. The original budget was expected to land somewhere around $2 billion. By the time it actually opened, the final price tag had ballooned to $4.8 billion, nearly double the original estimate.
And Denver International Airport Tower, Westman 92.
Here at Denver Tower, runway 35 left, cleared to land.
Most of that overrun came down to one single system, the automated baggage handling network. It was supposed to be revolutionary, over 4,000 independently controlled carts running on 17 miles of track, moving bags between every concourse without a single human hand touching them. It was meant to cut aircraft turnaround times down to under 30 minutes. And it was designed to be roughly 10 times larger and more complex than any automated baggage system attempted anywhere in the world before it. Instead, it became one of the most infamous engineering failures in modern American history. Carts collided with each other on the tracks, bags fell out mid-transit and jammed the conveyor belts behind them. The coordinating software, responsible for tracking thousands of carts and bags simultaneously, simply couldn't keep pace with the volume it was designed for. Even basic infrastructure problems made things worse. Power fluctuations alone caused the entire system to crash on multiple occasions, requiring months of unplanned electrical filtering work just to stabilize it. Partway through construction, the scope of the project also expanded dramatically, from serving a single concourse for a single airline to somehow integrating all 3 concourses and 20 different airlines at once, without anyone properly reassessing the budget or timeline for that massive increase in complexity. Reporters were eventually invited to watch a live demonstration of the system before opening day. It went badly enough. Clothes and bags flung across the room, carts crashing into each other. That footage of the failure ended up circulating on national news broadcasts. A single planned budget of around $186 million for the system spiraled past $1 billion in total associated costs. City officials had to build an entirely separate, old-fashioned manual backup system, complete with tug trains and human workers, just to open the airport at all. The automated system limped along afterward, used only in a limited capacity for a single airline, before finally being shut down completely in 2005. If the delays and the budget were the first crack in public trust, the artwork is what really opened the door for conspiracy theorists. Denver International Airport commissioned dozens of pieces of public art, and 2 in particular became instant lightning rods. The first are 2 large murals painted by artist Leo Tanguma titled "Children of the World Dream, of Peace and in Peace and Harmony with Nature." They're meant to tell a story about humanity moving from destruction toward peace. But taken out of context, individual panels look genuinely unsettling. One shows a soldier in a gas mask holding a sword and a machine gun with a bayonet, surrounded by crying children.
Is this a prophecy of 9/11?
If you look over here, you will see a lot of women going back through infinity who are weeping over their dead babies. In fact, in all the murals at the Denver International Airport, there is a great deal of death and suffering and war images.
Another shows extinct animals lying in coffins.
I believe this indicates the birth of the Antichrist. That's why this woman who was a stand-in for Mary is dead. That's why this child is a doll. If you understand the book of Daniel, you know that the leopard comes just before the Antichrist.
Tanguma has said publicly that the overall message is hopeful, but plenty of visitors only ever see the darkest panels, and those are the ones that get shared online. The second is a statue, a 32-foot tall, 9,000-pound blue Mustang with glowing red eyes, installed at the airport's entrance in 2008. Locals call it Blucifer. Its sculptor, Luis Jimenez, spent over a decade working on it, battling delays of his own throughout the process. In 2006, a piece of the unfinished statue broke loose in his studio and fell on him, severing an artery in his leg and killing him before the piece was even finished. His family and studio assistants completed it after his death. 2 years later, it was installed exactly where every single visitor driving into the airport has to pass it, its beady red eyes visible from the highway well after dark. Beyond the murals and the Mustang, the airport features a smaller collection of oddities that get folded into the same mythology. A marking on the terminal floor reading AUAG, the chemical symbols for gold and silver, is officially just a nod to Colorado's mining history, though some visitors have suggested it marks something else entirely. And in one of the stranger recent additions, the airport now has an animatronic gargoyle tucked inside a suitcase and baggage claim, one that talks to startled passengers as they walk by. Beneath the terminal sits a network of underground space totaling around 470,000 square feet, originally built to house that failed automated baggage system. That's roughly the size of 8 football fields, entirely hidden beneath the terminal floor, out of sight from the millions of passengers walking overhead every year. Once the system was scrapped, a huge amount of that space became effectively empty, unused tunnels and rooms sitting beneath one of the largest airports on the planet, repurposed only partially over the years since. That emptiness is exactly what conspiracy theorists latched onto. Why would an airport need that much underground space if it wasn't hiding something? Some of the tunnels genuinely are used for utilities, for a train system connecting the concourses, and in later years, for additional secured facilities related to airport operations and maintenance. But the sheer scale of unused space beneath the airport, combined with the fact that the general public has never been given any kind of tour or explanation of what exactly fills all 470,000 square feet, gave the rumors room to grow, quite literally, in the dark. Here's where things get genuinely strange. Some believers claim the tunnels connect all the way to NORAD, the North American Aerospace Defense Command, which really does sit about 100 miles south of the airport inside Cheyenne Mountain, a facility literally built into solid granite specifically to survive a nuclear attack. The idea that a hidden tunnel network could connect the two locations feeds directly into decades of genuine Cold War secrecy surrounding Cheyenne Mountain itself, which makes the theory feel more plausible to believers than it might otherwise. Others claim the tunnels lead to bunkers built for the world's elite to survive an apocalypse, while everyone else is left behind on the surface. A theory an actual DIA spokesperson has publicly acknowledged hearing from visitors directly. Then there's the dedication stone. Inside the terminal sits a marker for a time capsule, engraved with Masonic symbols, a compass, and a capital G, and the words New World Airport Commission. No organization by that name has ever been shown to exist. To conspiracy theorists, that's proof enough that it's coded language for the New World Order, the shadowy group some believe secretly controls world governments. Airport officials have offered a much simpler explanation that the name was a generic label for the group of local politicians and business leaders who helped fund construction, and that the actual Freemasons genuinely were responsible for creating the plaque itself, since laying a cornerstone with Masonic symbolism is a tradition that goes back centuries in American architecture. Then there's the runways. Seen from above, Denver's runway layout does bear a resemblance to a swastika. Airport officials call it a pinwheel design, built that way specifically so multiple runways can operate at once regardless of wind direction, without needing to shut the whole airport down in bad weather. Skeptics point out the shape isn't symmetrical enough to be an actual swastika at all. Believers point out that in a facility already surrounded by this much strangeness, the resemblance alone was enough to fuel the theory for over 2 decades. Some of the wilder theories go even further, claiming the tunnels house alien research facilities, or that the underground space was secretly built to serve as detention camps under FEMA in the event of martial law being declared across the country. There's no evidence for either claim, but both have circulated online for years, passed around alongside the murals and the statue as supposed proof that something bigger is happening underneath Denver. Beyond the big three, the tunnels, the plaque, and the runways, there's a whole second tier of theories that circulate among the airport's most dedicated conspiracy communities. Some point to the airport's distance from the city itself, arguing that no legitimate airport authority would deliberately strand travelers 25 miles from downtown unless it needed that isolation for something secretive. Others focus on the fact that the airport sits on land that was, decades earlier, reportedly linked to old Cold War-era military infrastructure in the surrounding area, and use that as supporting evidence for a continued secret military or defense purpose today. There's also a theory involving the numbering and layout of the gates themselves, with some visitors insisting certain concourse levels or gate numbers seem deliberately skipped or hidden, though airport officials have never confirmed any unusual numbering beyond standard aviation conventions. And inevitably, given how much strangeness had already accumulated around the airport by the 2000s, a subset of theorists folded in claims about reptilian humanoids, arguing that an airport already linked to the Illuminati and the New World Order was the obvious place for shape-shifting elites to be operating from as well. Strip away the theories, and here's what's actually verifiable. The airport really was massively delayed and massively over budget, and that part is completely true, documented in government audits at the time. The baggage system really was a genuine engineering disaster, one of the most studied project failures in modern history. The tunnels really do exist, and a large portion of that underground space really was left unused once the automated system was scrapped. What isn't true, at least based on any evidence anyone has ever produced, is that any of it points to a secret world government headquarters. There's no confirmed connection between the airport and NORAD beyond geographic proximity. The Freemason symbolism on the dedication stone reflects a genuine historical building tradition, not evidence of secret control. The murals reflect one artist's specific, publicly explained artistic vision, even if individual panels are unsettling out of context. And the swastika-shaped runways are, according to every available record, a functional design choice approved by the Federal Aviation Administration, not a hidden message. Here's the strangest twist in this entire story. Denver International Airport stopped fighting the rumors years ago and started embracing them instead. In 2016, the airport ran its own exhibit explaining the most popular conspiracy theories directly to visitors, presenting the murals, the plaque, and the runway layout with the same tongue-in-cheek humor that fans of the theories had, already brought to the subject for 2 decades. In 2019, they installed that animatronic gargoyle, named Gregoridon, inside a suitcase in baggage claim, one that randomly greets startled travelers with lines like, "Welcome to the Illuminati." During later construction phases, instead of standard "Pardon our dust" signage, the airport put up jokes referencing secret tunnels and drilling down to the underworld, with one sign reading that building secret underground tunnels can get quite untidy. Airport spokespeople have openly acknowledged in interviews that they know there are true believers among their millions of annual passengers, and rather than issue defensive denials, they've chosen to lean directly into the mythology as part of the airport's own branding. The airport figured out something simple. The mystery was never actually hurting them. If anything, it was turning one of the most boring things in the world, a regional airport hub, into something millions of people now research, argue about, and fly out of their way just to photograph. Whatever is or isn't underneath Denver International Airport, one thing is completely certain: the rumor became more valuable than the truth ever could have been. That's the story of the airport that leaned into its own myth. A budget disaster, a cursed statue, unsettling murals, a maze of unused tunnels, and a plaque nobody can fully explain. Maybe it's all coincidence. Maybe it isn't. Either way, next time you fly through Denver, you'll probably look at that blue horse just a little bit differently.